What's happening? How's everybody doing? Listen, I'm going to talk today about our 2026-2027 Jiu Jitsu strategy. Now, I had some comments on our last post that we made, kind of rolling out the menswear roadmap, and this was straight casual, smart casual, American heritage. I didn't get into the Jiu Jitsu strategy. And so I'm going to do that for you today. Now, last week we had three-ish, actually no, it was 3 days. It was like 36 to 40 hours over 3 days, a company summit. Kind of, some people refer to this as a stage gate. It was a little bit more involved than a stage gate because we're trying to get real alignment around our product, which is the byproduct of our strategy. Product doesn't come first. Strategy comes first for all you business folks out there. Listen, I also want to know if you enjoy the business talk. Like, if you could do me a huge favor and post below here in the comments, what do you want to see more of for content? Do you like the business talk? Do you want to see more like let's just say in factory stuff, like more like gritty type of Maine redneck shit, I'm just, or other types of content. I'm really interested. I basically am talking to you about my stream of consciousness, right? And so there's a mixture of everything here that I don't really know what you're enjoying, and I can kind of gear that in a little bit more. So the Jiu Jitsu strategy I'm going to discuss today, and how I'm thinking about that, and the challenge that I've given to the team for our Jiu Jitsu business. Now, I need to take you back to 2011 when we started Origin, and it was just me and one other person working out of this little warehouse, and we had looked for manufacturing, we couldn't find it, so we're importing product. And I didn't feel good about it, and then we got ripped off, and I'm like, screw this, we're gonna find a way to make it in America. And again, it was just myself and John Mylan, my father-in-law, Joe Parody, who is kind of a wizard, and they call him Junkie Joe, right? Because he can make anything happen. He told me a story one time when he was in the Army in Texas, and everybody came to him if they needed something. If you needed it, you go to Joe Parody, and Joe Parody, he can get it for you. And so he told me the story about one time, is it Fort Bragg that's in Texas? I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong here, but somebody needed angle iron, and there just happened to be a tower on the military base, and so Joe snuck up in the middle of the night and he cut that tower down, and let's just say the military police found out and chased him down the mountain. Joe's a little bit of a rebel without a cause, but Origin as a brand is a bit rebellious in general, because we're doing things that you're not supposed to do. Like, you're not supposed to build factories out in the freaking woods on generator power, and you're not supposed to like bring junk looms back to life. I like to call it a little bit more refined Yankee ingenuity, but it's been a lot of fun, and in the process of doing these things, the sole purpose originally was Jiu Jitsu. Now, a lot of people don't know this, and I've never shared this. In 2014, we made our first pair of boot uppers. Those boot uppers, they never got soles put on them. They were just uppers, and I took those pair of boots and I set them in my little office that was just beyond the looms and the embroidery machines, and I set them on the shelf and I stared at them every day. And in 2015, we made our first pair of jeans. And a lot of people don't know this either, that the History Channel, they paid this production company to do this big development deal, and Origin and Joe Parody and kind of this this ragtag group of Mainers was supposed to be the next Duck Dynasty. And now that 10 years have passed, I'm okay to talk about this. I've talked about it a few times in the past, but I've never told the real story. So they came up here for like, I think it was a week or two, and they filmed all this stuff. And I found another loom in this old mill in Sanford, Maine. And my goal, my dream was to weave denim. And I had to find that old footage because there's a little bit of dialogue between Amanda and I where I show up with this loom. She didn't know I had bought the loom. Of course, the History Channel, this production company, wanted a little bit of drama. And so Amanda's like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, it's a loom. And she's like, for what? And I said, to weave denim. And she's like, where did you even get the money to do that? And I just said, like, we'll figure it out, right? We were broke. We didn't have the money, but it made good TV. Anyways, this TV show was going to be called Titans of Industry because we started this in Industry, Maine, and like we were the new Titans of manufacturing, even though we were nobody. So a little bit of tongue in cheek. Anyways, the History Channel, this whatever you call it, 15-minute sizzle or whatever. It went to a green light meeting at the History Channel. The History Channel had cut their CEO loose, and they hired a new executive from Lifetime, and she decided she doesn't want to see these folks in Maine doing real things. She'd rather have folks chasing alligators. It was an interesting time. I was pretty disappointed that this didn't happen. In hindsight, it was a real blessing in disguise. I'm so stoked that we did not end up on the History Channel like Duck Dynasty and just another Chotsky brand, that we did it the hard way and built that story. And again, you've heard me talk about building brand. You can go fast and wide, or you can go slow and deep. And I'm gonna bring this around to Jiu Jitsu in a second, so bear with me. When I discuss fast and wide, what is fast and wide? Well, an F1 race is fast and wide. Now an F1 race is fast as fuck. These engines are running, they're expensive, they're high powered, and only one can win, right? Fast and wide. And so fast and wide, you run the race and the race ends, or you freaking crash out, right? Or NASCAR, same thing. And you can build a business that way, and it's dangerous. It's super dangerous. Or you can go slow and deep. Now think about slow and deep like an oil rig. You're gonna drill, and you're gonna drill, and you're gonna drill slowly, potentially thousands of feet until you hit an oil reserve. And then there's enough in that well that you can pump for years and years and years, right? And so for me, brand building is like an oil reserve. Brand equals trust, and that's all it is. And I consult with people, a bunch of different people, that are building brands, and I don't really talk about them on this channel, but one of the things that is really important for people to understand is a brand is 1,000 people that trust and convert, right? That's a brand. If you don't gain trust and then you don't convert that trust, then you don't have a brand, right? It's you might be popular, you might be celebrated, but that doesn't mean it's a brand, right? And so my goal with Origin has always been to bring you inside the company, obviously to build that trust, not for the sake of just conversion, but for helping us figure it out, right? Because when we started, and if you go to Origin's YouTube channel, you can go back all the way back to day one. You can see me literally in Industry, Maine, walk to our timber frame factory to show everybody, yes, we built this factory. And And being on the journey is what makes this. It's you on the journey with us, guiding us, right? I mean, in this channel has become a tremendous resource for me, to make sure that we don't go off the rails, because as we scale the brand, as we scale Origin, I just want to make sure we're doing the right things for the right reasons. And intrinsically, I know that we are, but I love the customer to keep us honest. And so that leads me to our Jiu Jitsu strategy. I haven't been stoked on our Jiu Jitsu strategy the last few years because once we actually started building boots and blue jeans, even though the boots thing we didn't go into, but we spent some money in 2015 on building blue jeans. We failed. Like, I mean, it was a failure, and we had to set the whole project aside. And it's funny because when Jocko came on board, he called me one day and he's like, "Why aren't we making blue jeans?" And I was like, "Well, we tried once." He's like, "Everybody wears blue jeans." And I'm like, "I'd love to make blue jeans. I'd love to try again." And at this point, we're a little bit at scale. And I was like, you know what? He's right. Like, we shouldn't be fearful of the thing that we failed at. And it's something I've always wanted to do. I mean, we bought a loom to weave denim, which never came to life, and I ended up having to scrap it anyways. But timing's everything. One sec, let me back into this. Listen, you got to learn how to use your rear view mirrors, okay? You young kids out there who rely on your freaking digital screen here, use your freaking rear views. I'm going grocery shopping for the wife. We're headed to Florida here in another day to get down there for a couple of months, get my shoulder recovery. I got some doctor's appointments and stuff, but so a lot of my vlogs are going to be coming from Florida over the next, I don't know how long. We're driving down. We're going to stop in North Carolina at the factory, spend some time at the factory, so we'll see some vlogs from there, and then we're going to keep driving down. We have our chocolate lab with us, and she just doesn't want to fly her. So I guess that's the blessing of being empty nesters. And so, when Jocko called and he was like, I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I had a little bit of angst because we had tried to make blue jeans and it was a disaster. But at the same time, I was like, we're a different company, 15, 16, 2.5 years later. We were a different company. We were profitable, we had awareness, massive awareness through Jocko's podcast. It was like such a blessing for us to come together, and it was like the perfect storm. And so we had this big factory now that we moved into, which was an old fallout shelter. And at the same time, I said to Jocko, I said, "Bro, we got to make footwear." And he's like, "Footwear scares me." And I was like, it doesn't make me nervous. I was like, we've been making footwear in Franklin County, Maine for a freaking 100 years. And he's like, "Bro," he's like, "I got a friend who was in the footwear business, and he says the foot it's asymmetrical. It's everybody's feet are different, and it's really hard to get it right." And I was like, it is, but like, I want to tackle basically both at the same time. It was like we tackled one, and then 6 months later we tackled the other one. Now I'm going to start a new series, which is going to be, I'm going to go watch these videos that I haven't watched in a decade or more, and I'm going to reflect on them. What is that called? It's like when you have like the split screen and you have like a video playing and somebody's basically talking about it. Gosh, there's a name for this shit. Help me out. I don't remember what the name is. It's like not reflects, not reacts. So I'm going to react to these videos. So we're going to do a weekly, I'm going to try to do this, a weekly video that is one of those old videos and then me reacting to it, thinking now what I know in tuition we've paid, and, you know, and watch this video, and then it'll give you a good opportunity to see kind of how we started and progressed, and the mindset then and the mindset now. I think they're going to be really powerful videos. Anyways, so Jock was like, Pete, if you think you can get this footwear thing going, he's like, I mean, it's risky, but I'm good if you think you can do it. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do both. Gosh, it was hard. First pair of boots cost $500,000 to get the first pair done. All the old machines we rescued, that's a video I'll review because we captured that all in an Origin Uncut. Building blue jeans, finding a denim manufacturer, which was a disaster because there was one and they were hidden and they weren't online and you couldn't find them and you had to know somebody that knew somebody to find them. And then just the failure, not the failure, but the tuition we paid and having to figure out how to make the product again, find the old timers, find the old shoe dogs, which a few of them passed away already, and try and resurrect this thing. Well, during that time, Jiu Jitsu was our core business, and it was all Jiu Jitsu, and we were making some of the most phenomenal textiles we've ever made. One of them being Dragon Weave, and one of them being another textile called Gorilla Weave. And these textiles were super, super hard to make. Not only were they hard to make, but we had to take the rolls of fabric and go to a dye house in Brooklyn and get them dyed. We'd go down there. The first time we went down, we slept in my truck because we didn't have money for a hotel. And we just hung out in the dye house and we watched this fabric being dyed. And it was crazy, and I learned a lot. And I actually just got 3 credits for my chemistry degree because I had to do an interview for college for this. So I'm trying to get my degree here. Anyways, that dye house then shut down in the Williamsburg district of Brooklyn. And I was like, shit, what are we going to do? I mean, Brian Littlefield, my business partner on Jocko Fuel, he reminded me of that day. He goes, Pete, we were talking about it this weekend. He's like, Pete, you were distraught. He's like, I said, bro, I don't even remember. And I guess that's the way a mind protects itself, right? I don't even remember how I felt. All I remember is the dye house shut down. We had to find a new dye house. But he's like, there were none left in America that would dye the batch R fabric, that they just wouldn't do it. We had to weave like 100,000 yards. We were weaving 1,000 yards. And I found a place up in Montreal, and I went up there and I took a load up across the border. Luckily, the border agents, they're like jiu-jitsu guys, and they knew who I was, and they didn't give me a hard time. And I'd go up there and they started dyeing our fabric for us. And I would sit there and I would watch the whole process. And, you know, add more of this, take more of this. It would get on this tenter frame, which is a pin chain frame, which basically, in Simpleman's terms, it takes the edges of the fabric and these little pins grab it, and then it can stretch it and it dries it. Can stretch it or hold it natural so it kind of sags. So it's like, and I would literally be feeling it, and this thing would be running. And it was all by feel. It was art and science, and mostly art and feel. And it was hard and laborious and expensive. And at the first chance I could, I got away from that process because we were running 40-year-old looms. There was one dye house that could do it, 3.5 hours north of us in Montreal. And it took so much out of us. And so I found other ways to weave great fabrics that I could pre-dye the yarn. And that's why we don't have blue right now, right? Because the way we're dyeing our fabric right now is we dye the yarn, we weave the fabric. It's called a loom state good. And when it comes off, it is the color, and it's ready to cut and sew. And to do this, you know, you can do it really great with black, you can do it really great with white, but when you start getting into color, the shade distortion between tops and bottoms, because we have another mill making our pants material called Milliken, they're a huge old American company, like, was really hard. We just couldn't figure it out. And so what I said to the team, and I didn't capture this on video, and I'm just trying to be really thorough and transparent with the life cycle of Jiu Jitsu for us. Last Monday was I want to get back to who we fucking were. That's it. I want to get back to who we were. And my business partner, my first business partner, Dedeco, who is one of my dear friends and just a nasty black belt. He's got a big school in Weymouth and elsewhere, Dedeco BJJ. He was like, Pete, we have to get back to who we were without compromise. And I said to the team, challenging them, like, we have new looms now. Our looms aren't 40 years old. We could go back and weave some of these fabrics, because now we've been weaving fabric since 2000, whatever, 12, 13. I don't know the exact date. So over a decade, we've been weaving fabrics, and we've woven dragon weave, a second generation of dragon weave, a third generation of dragon weave, a first generation of gorilla weave, a second generation of gorilla weave, a first generation of American pearl weave, a second generation of American pearl weave, nano pearl weave. Did I say gorilla weave? Raptor weave, a first generation of raptor weave, a second generation of raptor weave. I'd say that 10 times fast. Raptor weave. So we've woven all these textiles, and there's a couple that stick out that I am obsessed with. One of them was dragon weave number 2. We made this gi called, it was a limited edition gi called the Gold Label in like 2017, maybe 16 or 17. It was a navy blue gi, and inside had old photos of mill workers in Maine, and we made a few hundred of them. We never made them again. We will never make them again. But that freaking fabric, that dragon weave was the best textile we ever made, even to date. And I challenged the team to figure out how the frig we make it again. It was so difficult and so arduous and so hard and so expensive. But I want to reclaim jiu-jitsu not only with the best textiles, but also with the best fits. I want to make some changes to the jacket. We have our like if we could make a dragon weave Gen 2 with a spiral wrap fit, and then if we could take our pants, which are designed like jeans, and just change the yoke structure to reverse yoke like our jeans, add some hip space into it, maybe change the cut, maybe even add a gusset, but I want to advance this thing. And in 2026, this whole year we're going to spend doing that. And that's our playbook. And then we're going to, for 2017, we're going to roll out a new line. I'm going to try to do it all. And when I say I'm not doing jack shit. I'm just driving the long-term strategic vision. And I'm going to have to sit there and feel the fabric and go to the dye house, and I'm going to be hands-on. So just because that institutional knowledge is here, right? It's like, I never wrote it down. I never wrote the process down. I never did any of that. And so the team is like going and trying to figure out how we did this. Of course, it was very entrepreneurial. It was very by the seat of our pants back then. And so none of it was written down. Not the size of the yarn, the blend of the yarn, the picks per inch, that's how many yarns per inch. If it was open end or ring spun yarn, the mixture of cotton and polysynth, and like it just, none of it's written down. And so it's almost like we have to recreate it from scratch again, and it's probably going to take most of the year. So I'm really, really, really excited about what we're going to do in jiu-jitsu for gis. And on top of that, there's going to be more offering for rash guards. We're talking about a rash guard of the month program. We're also, going to be releasing some jiu-jitsu specific items and giving jiu-jitsu a better experience, because honestly, that's just our passion. Myself, Dedeco, Jocko, Brian Littlefield, we're all jiu-jitsu black belts. We came together because of jiu-jitsu. This business was built off jiu-jitsu. It truly was. Every day we are doing jiu-jitsu. People ask me, what is a black belt? There's some dude out there got a black belt in 3 years, okay? And maybe technically he's sound. Jiu-jitsu black belts aren't created 100% on the mats. This is what fucking people don't understand, is being on the mats and being able to deploy the techniques without thinking about it. That's a black belt. My mind is empty and free when I'm training or competing in jiu-jitsu. My body is moving because it's second nature. That's a jiu-jitsu black belt on the mats. And keeping your mind open to new ideas, concepts, techniques, and being a lifetime learner. That's also a jiu-jitsu black belt. Not somebody who thinks they freaking know it all, because I can do a freaking flower sweep and a pendulum sweep and a waiter sweep and, you know, whatever else, right? Like, go learn that shit on YouTube. You won't learn timing on YouTube, ever. You will only learn timing in deploying technique in live rolling sessions, sparring sessions. That's it. All right. So BJ Penn got his black belt in 3 years. BJ Penn is the freaking man. That dude is a savage. There's a few other people that did, and then they went out and they proved it. But anyways, so maybe this guy technically is a black belt on the mats. But my point is this: a jiu-jitsu black belt, it isn't about the mats. That's 50% of it. The other 50% is how you deploy jiu-jitsu in life. Because jiu-jitsu is a metaphor for life. That's timing and leverage and angles and distance and when to apply pressure, when to escape, looking for the holes, creating negative space, and sometimes it's freaking tapping out. And you can't learn that shit in 3 years. You're freaking crazy, man. You think you can learn that in 3 years? That is absolute malarkey. And so my point is like, behind Origin, there's like a crew of really world-class black belts. Like freaking really solid, knowledgeable people who have deployed jiu-jitsu in life. And we want to bring the pinnacle of jiu-jitsu gear and apparel to the jiu-jitsero. And that's a personal passion of mine. And for me, we've had our foot off the gas for too long while we've tried to bring, you know, footwear manufacturing back to America, trying to breathe some life and dream back into our town and in other parts of America. And we've done that. And we're not done. We're just getting started. But it's time that we really elevated jiu-jitsu after being the only company in America to do this for the past, 15 years. Like, let's take what we've learned, let's distill it down to the best of what we've learned, and let's go back there. And so I want to go a little bit backwards on textiles and innovations, and I want to go forwards on how the biomechanics of the garments work on your body for training. And only we can do that, because we're the only ones not making jiu-jitsu gear in fucking Pakistan or China, and there's no communism attached to it. It is the fabric of freaking freedom. All right, so that's our jiu-jitsu strategy. Listen, comment below, comment, like, subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts. I love giving you all of this. I love talking about it. I'm always thinking about it. I'm addicted and obsessed, and I hope you are too, because you are the ones driving this forward. This community, my peers. I know a lot of you go to our annual immersion camp. You should subscribe for that and register for that if you haven't ever been. Get on it. Come see us. We're all there, and it's so much fun. But I really appreciate the feedback. I try to respond to every comment. And the feedback's been great. My team sees it. My team all reads the comments. We talk about it in private meetings. Did you see what the trend was? Do you see what people want? Hey, let's make sure we don't do that. This is what the customer wants. And so you're really, really contributing. When you post, when you comment, it doesn't go unseen or unheard. It truly is a relationship here. So, all right, I'm gonna go shopping for the wife, and I'm going to take you on this journey as we travel south to Florida on this drive and kind of get settled in. And yeah, one more thing. I'm going to leave you with this. We launched the Burnt End brand, myself and some friends. I think it's the next thing I'm going to be doing in life. haven't started a brand for 10 years. You know, Origin 15 years ago, Jocko Fuel, or actually Origin Labs in 2016, Jocko Fuel right after, and now Burnt. And I'll leave you with this: the hype video. Go. Yeah, for sure.
Meet Jack Arnold, barbecue international man of mystery, event host, and entertainer extraordinaire.
As soon as I finally decided to do this, first person I called was Brian.
Brian Littlefield, a fighter, a founder, a mad scientist, moving fast and chasing the boldest flavors on earth through product and innovation.
As soon as we decided it was go time, the first person I called was Pete.
Peter Roberts, mastermind of iconic brands that have changed the world. Obsessed foodie, world traveler, and Jiu Jitsu black belt.
I'm not doing this shit without Mario.
And I'm Mario Calpo, a chef and an outdoor extremist with a passion for finding the freshest food in the most dangerous and wild places on the planet. I just want to put some fucking flavor in the world. We are Burnt In, and this is the Founders Blend.